My plan to make $1 million per month in 2021. Oh yeah, you heard that right. $1 million per month. And there are no fantasies here. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I'm going to make $1 million per month and why that number is not as high as you think it really is. Because you can do it too. Let's go.
Noel. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, all you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
I'm gonna share with you my real story with full details, nothing held back, no fluff, the real story of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and a breakdown of my income. I'm gonna tell you my most profitable source of income and how I grew it 10x, but more importantly, how you can too. And I'm gonna share with you my dirty little secret on how I make at least double every single year. This video is a little bit difficult for me. I'll be honest with you guys. I am not used to telling you guys my income and breaking it all down. I literally am sweating just a little bit telling you all of my business, but this is the truth. Noel Randall, real estate entrepreneur, mentor, mom of 5 or 7, depending on how many kids I'm counting that day. But I am a real person and I'm gonna tell you my real story. So let's get to it. So I'm gonna tell you basically how I got here really quickly. Most of you guys know, if I've told this, if you know me 5 minutes, you've known, I started in my parents' basement, literally broke, bankrupt, multiple foreclosures. And at the time when I moved into my parents' basement, it was the end of 2009. We had lost everything. I had lost my job. My husband had lost his job. I had 2 kids at the time and I was pregnant with my 3rd kid. I literally ended up moving back with my parents from Atlanta, Georgia, back to my parents' basement in Bloomfield, Connecticut. That was probably the worst time in my life. I felt like such a failure. I was embarrassed. My husband had lost his job. We were just like these dejected people that lived in a basement. And it was bad for us, okay? But it was in that basement that I just really started looking at my life and started taking responsibility for the decisions that I had made. I really didn't quite understand at the time how I ended up in my parents' basement. I was working full time. We were flipping houses. We, had 2 kids. We both worked. I just was like, wait, how did this all just crumble so quickly? But I know the answer now, and I'm gonna tell you so that you never have to go through what I went through. But first, I'm gonna tell you how I climbed out of it. So while we were in my parents' basement, literally not my husband's parents' basement, but my parents' basement, I, like I said, was pregnant with my 3rd kid. So my parents were like, yeah, we'll take you in, not a problem. You need to go get a job or go to school. So I went back to school to finish my college degree. At the time, I had no college degrees at all. I did 3 years of school at the University of Connecticut, and then I dropped out to go to Atlanta because I thought I knew everything. Went to Atlanta, started my life, got married, had kids, then ended back in the basement because I didn't know what I was doing. So while I was in my parents' basement, I got me a real estate coach. This guy changed my life. Let me tell you how. My real estate coach changed my life because it wasn't necessarily that he taught me so much and all of these things that I couldn't have learned. It was that I had invested in myself when I was down. Being really honest with you, I had no money when I took that coach, but he told me that he could teach me something that I had never heard of before, and he started telling me things that I had never heard. And for some reason, it just felt right. So long story short, I ended up canceling one of my college courses just to get on a payment plan to learn from this coach. And it was worth it. He taught me a concept called wholesaling, finding people that were having property problems, people that had been in foreclosure, just like me, and get those properties under contract and start making money. And it did. It worked. I listened to what he told me, I followed his scripts, and before you knew it, in a few months, I was out of my parents' basement and I had finished my college degree. So now let's get to the fun part on how I took that, because at that point I was not rich, I just wasn't poor anymore. And let me tell you how I really took that to the next level and how you can skip all of that basement crap that I went to and go right to where I am right now. So let's break it down. When I first started real estate investing, the second time, after getting the coach, after having the wholesaling and all of this, you know, I'm not a disaster anymore. I still didn't have a lot of confidence, you know, because we had been through the foreclosure and I ended up in my parents' basement and people were saying negative things about us. I had a lot of self issues. And so I just kept working and then doing that real estate thing on the side. I had been burnt by real estate, so I didn't think that I should do it full time. People told me that I shouldn't do it full time. I should just work because I had kids. You know, you have kids and you're married, so you should work. Don't listen to that. That's ridiculous. But that's what I was told, and so that's what I tried to do. So I'm working and I'm doing my deals on the side and I'm climbing this corporate ladder and I'm working, you know, I'm back in mortgage banking. So at the time I'm working at Bank of America, then I go to Chase, I'm a VP at Chase, then I leave Chase, I go to Wells Fargo, and I'm climbing these corporate ladder and I'm getting these better jobs, but I do not own my time. I'm miserable. Yeah, I'm making more money, but life is not really good, okay? I had a 6-figure job pretty much from the time I finished college, okay? I finished college when I was 29 years old in 2010. Then I moved back to Atlanta to finish my life, and from 2010 to 2015 is when I became a millionaire. I kind of just got by myself. I kind of got rid of some of my friends, stopped talking to everybody, mostly because I didn't really have the confidence to tell people what I was doing. But long story short, I did. I just kind of cut everybody off and just focused on becoming a millionaire. And from 2010 to 2015, that's what I did. And in 2015, I became a certified millionaire. And how I did that was really through property, you know, because you can become a millionaire by owning, let's just use an example. If you own 5 properties that are worth $200,000, boom, you're a millionaire. That's $1 million worth of assets that you have. If you have 10 properties that are worth $100,000 and you have no mortgages on them, you're a millionaire. So you guys get it. It's not really hard to become a millionaire in real estate with property. But I'm talking about, how do you make $1 million a year? Huh? How you do that? Where you do that? You know, my coach, she had taught me some wholesaling, but ain't nobody teach me how to make $1 million a year. So now let me tell you how I did that. And I'm gonna just break down last year's numbers because I think it's the easiest way to do it. And I can show you quickly how you could do it too and how I can get to $1 million a month in 2021. So in 2020, let's give you some rough numbers. I have 6 businesses that I run now. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I do. And actually it's 8 if I was being completely accurate, but 6 active businesses that I have my hands in. And in 2020, I'm just going to tell you about my main business that I have my real estate through, that I do my real estate courses and my coaching and things like that. And that business in 2020, just that business did right under 2 million. It's like 1.9 million, blah, 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 blah. So let's kind of break that down because like, whoa, what does those numbers mean? So when I wanted to become a millionaire making $1 million per year, I broke that down and I knew that came out to $83,333.33 a month. And boy, did I think that was a lot of money. And it is, because most people, in order to be rich and have the life that you want and love and where you're free, you really don't need to make $83,000 a month. However, that was my goal and I set out to do it. But again, it starts off and it just builds. So let's break down all of the different streams of revenue and I'll tell you what I did in 2020 and then what I'll do in 2021 and how it'll become again, $1 million per month. Okay, so I basically have 6 streams of income that I'm gonna break down for you guys. And I'm gonna tell you what I did last year in that, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do in 2021. So the first main source of income that I have is my real estate. Like I said, guys, I am a real estate entrepreneur. But that does not mean I am a real estate investor. That does not mean I am a real estate agent. That does not mean that I am a real estate developer. That does not mean I am a real estate loan officer. I do different things in real estate. Basically, if it makes money and it's a skill set that I have, I will do it. But I keep things to what my core expertise is. So let's just talk about the property. When I first started with real estate and I started keeping properties, I ended up having over 42 rental properties with long-term tenants in them. That was because I did not know about short-term rentals. I did not know about Airbnb. In fact, Airbnb probably wasn't as big as it is now and as profitable as it is now. So in the last year, starting in 2018 towards 2019, I started transitioning my properties from long-term tenants, meaning renting out empty properties, you know, doing one-year leases with people. I went from doing that to doing Airbnb. So I started furnishing properties, and as you guys can see, we're actually in an unfinished Airbnb right now. I'll show you some B-roll, because this is what I actually love doing now, is putting these properties together, because it's so much more profitable to rent properties out on a nightly basis, you know, furnished with the towels and everything, than it is to rent them out unfurnished for a whole month. Way more profitable Airbnb. Just being real with you guys. Yeah, there's a little bit more hassle that may go with it, or things that you have to put in place, but it is a much more profitable real estate niche. So in 2020, I made about $280,000 just off of my rental properties, okay? And in this year, in 2021, it's going to be about $200,000 per month, okay? So here's my plan. So in 2020, obviously we had COVID, okay? So that really took my real estate income down, because I had so many properties in the Florida area, around the beaches and things like that. And we were expecting some really big numbers for 2020 based on some of the travel that was expected. Well, as you guys can imagine, COVID did not agree to that plan, and a lot of my properties did not make the money that they were supposed to make in 2020. But again, not a big deal, because I'm going to tell you about my second source of income that really shot up in 2020, and I'm going to balance between the two in 2021. So in 2020, I have these 19 properties that are mine. Again, like I said, I've sold off some properties, and that's why I don't necessarily want to put some of those numbers in there, because I'm not including any of those numbers. In 2019, I started getting rid of and selling some of my properties and focusing on short-term rentals. So for 2020, I wasn't really going to do too many long-term tenants. I was going to focus on short-term tenants. And on average, we make about $2,000 a month profit on each property we have. Okay, that's profit per property. So if I have 10 properties making $2,000 per month, is that $20,000 per month? What if I have 100 properties? Do the math. Let's do that right quick. 200,000. So as you can see, 100 doors, again, 100 units, because a door, remember I have apartment buildings, and that will be a door. Each door will make me about $2,000 per month, and we will have at least 100 properties. Okay? And that is profit, that is net. I am not talking gross, because we have to pay all the mortgages, we have to pay all of the different people. So that's $200,000 per month. You guys getting that math? Now, think about this for yourself, because I don't want you guys to think that, oh my gosh, what if you just have 5 properties? And what if you didn't make what Noelle makes on her properties because you don't know how to get your occupancy all the way up, or you don't know the areas? People that are just starting make at least $1,000 per month per property. So you could just have 10 properties and make $10,000 a month. So just giving you some ideas here. So for 2021, for just the real estate, we're going to be putting in $200,000 a month. That's that first source of income, guys. All right, let's get to number 2. The second source of income. And again, not my primary source. This is going to be the YouTube. So one of the things that I started enjoying so much was doing YouTube videos. And I did not realize when I started, I should have definitely been on YouTube a lot sooner. YouTube splits their ad revenue with me 45-55, meaning I get 55%, they get 45% of all of the ad revenue. So although I'm bringing you all of this free content, you guys are paying for it by watching the ads. So watch the ads, because this is how you get it. I'm not saying you have to buy anything or anything like that, but watch the ads. That gets me revenue, and this is how you are paying for the content that you are getting for free. So my income last year, and I made a whole video on how much money I made in 2020 on YouTube. I'll put a link there. I'm going to take that to about $60,000 per month. I know you guys are like, what are you talking about? No, are you serious? No, you can make $60,000 a month from YouTube. Yes, just from YouTube. Again, I'll show you my numbers right now. For just right now, it's about $30,000 per month. So I'm talking about doubling it, and how we plan on doing that is just by putting out more videos. I have so much content. Again, Noelle has a bachelor's degree, I have a master's from Penn State, and I have another master's from Baylor. Plus, I have over 20 years of experience. I've managed more than 200 people. I've worked at Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Chase. I have a ton of knowledge that I can tell you guys that most people have no idea about. So yeah, I'm gonna put more content out here. I'm gonna spill the tea, tell you guys everything, and in return, I'm gonna get $60,000 a month. All right, number 3. This is going to be probably the one that shocks you guys the most. This is going to be my coaching, my programs, my courses, not my speaking. I'm not gonna necessarily include that, and that is going to be $500,000 a month. I know you guys are like, whoa, Noelle, are you freaking kidding me? And it's true, okay? It is true. So right now, between my coaching, my courses, and my programs, it's about, and last month, December 2020, it was $336,451, okay? So for me to go from $336,000 to $500,000 a month, it's really not that crazy. I'm really just gonna add some more speaking into there. I have a few more events that I'm going to do that will attract some more things, and then we're going to be adding a couple of more smaller programs that are teaching you guys about business credit and how to start your business, and just a few smaller type of programs to really get you guys started, and that will easily be another $100,000 per month, okay? Because we try to make our courses super affordable, but with the audience, you know, I get millions of views per month. It's pretty easy to, you know, just sell something for $500-600 and make hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're bringing value, and that's what I do. So yeah, the coaching, the courses, and the programs, $500,000 a month. But again, this is why I'm telling you it's not that crazy, because right now, just last month, it was $336,000, and then the month before that, it was $268,000. So for January, it's somewhere in the low 400,000s, and we'll just keep going. So just averaging it out, it will be at least $500,000 per month every single month. Additionally, let me give you one secret, because I just have to, is the monthly payments. Why is it so much per month? So it's not like I'm always selling all of these people every single month, but there are some people that I work with on a really high level, really close, and those programs and those inner circle things are a little bit more expensive. However, most of those people are on payment plans. And so if you get, you know, just being honest with you, say you got 50 people on a payment plan where they're paying you $5,000 per month, just kind of do the math to that. That's about, what, $250,000. So that's how I get to those numbers pretty easily. So sidebar on the coaching and program, because I know I'm going to get all these comments, and I get so many people already on social media like, whoa, how are you making all of this money? But I'm going to tell you a quick story, and this is about a guy that I don't know, but you probably do. His name is Jeff Bezos. That is the CEO of Amazon. Again, I do not know Jeff Bezos, but you probably do know who he is as well. And I'm going to tell you why Jeff Bezos is rich, because most people have no idea why this person is the richest person on the planet, and they will probably never get to his level of wealth, as where I probably will, because I truly understand how he got his money. The reason why Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and that company is so successful and so profitable is not because they eat up smaller companies and they take mom and pop stores and they tear them down, and you know, and they're a monopoly, and all this negative stuff that people say about them, or should I say poor people say about Amazon. The reason why Amazon is the most profitable business in the world is because it makes entrepreneurs money. What most people do not understand about the business model of Amazon is it creates millionaires. It created one in me. That's a whole separate business that I'm not even getting into. And that is fulfillment by Amazon, where you are able to ship your products to Amazon, and Amazon as a marketplace will sell your product to billions of people and just pay you money. You literally make your product, you send it to them, they sell it, you get money. That is why Jeff Bezos is rich. He has created so many entrepreneur millionaires that he has no choice but to be a billionaire. So if you create value and you create ways for people to get money, which is what I do, teaching people how to make money, how to have properties, how to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in business credit, how to be millionaires. I have no other choice but to be a billionaire. If I make 100 millionaires, trust me, I am a billionaire. And Jeff Bezos has made thousands of millionaires. So that is why he is the richest man on the planet. And if you don't understand that, now you do. So start bringing value to people, start making people rich, and then you will be rich too. Number 4, hopefully you're still adding up these numbers. We're gonna put them on the screen. The next one, I am launching a book. This book will make me about $100,000 per month, okay? I already have several books, but this is a book really on real estate. I've been writing it for months, putting my heart and soul into this book because I wanna make sure that people have an easy way to get all of this information and start being successful. Again, I'm trying to create ways to create millionaires. The more millionaires that I create, I will be a billionaire. It's already on its way, whether you guys buy my book or not, but many of you will. So my book revenue right now is only about $11,000 per month, but in 2021, with the new book that we're launching, the campaign, and all of the now, success that I have with all of my viewers, my podcast, all of these people that are on all of my social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, have between all of those platforms, I have, 1 million followers. So with all of those people, I will be able to sell tons of books and make a lot of money in the process. So the book will be about $100,000 per month in 2021. Number 5, NuRez. NuRez Incorporated. That is NuRez, NuUREZ.com. I know some of you have heard of NuRez because I talk about NuRez, but that is my baby. That is my company that does just short-term rentals. We're buying properties where we are focusing mostly on short-term rentals, and we are making a ton of money. We have a lot of investors. We've raised nearly $600,000 in just a few months. We're going to be finishing off that at $1 million, and then we're going to be going to a $50 million plus raise, and we're going to be buying large apartment complexes. Again, part of the real estate plan, why $200,000 a month is really easy. We are going to be getting into 2021. We're going larger apartment complexes, no more triplexes and quads and 8 and 10 units. We are moving into, 50, 100 unit apartment complexes, and NuRez will bring me about $100,000 per month, just me taking a small cut of the profits and giving the majority of the profits to the investor. So again, NuRez is not my primary source of income, but it will be about $100,000 per month, and all of my investors will split the other $200,000 to $300,000 per month that we make. And last but not least, drum roll, because I know y'all are like, these numbers are crazy, Noelle, you making all this money, but let me give you the last one, because this last one is just the smallest little piece. It's just miscellaneous. It's about $40,000 in miscellaneous. So you guys know I have T-More Skinny, I got Bella J Hair, I got my podcast, I have endorsements. So I have people that pay me to make videos or endorse their products and their services. I have people, if I tell you about a certain bank, North One Bank, for example, North One will pay me for all of the accounts that you guys open up. I have an affiliate relationship with them. And now I've even gotten into cars. I do Turo now. So I buy the cars that I want. I'll show you a video that I made on my Tesla Model X that I put on Turo, and I make more money on this car than I do on some of my townhouses. So very easily, between all of those things that I just named, that's another $40,000 per month. And that is the grand total on how I plan to make $1 million per month or $12 million per year in 2021. Okay, so I hope I didn't blow you guys' mind. Hopefully many of y'all didn't click off and you're like starting to think of these numbers, because again, these numbers have grown year after year after year, but the key is multiple streams of income. I have a new book that I'm coming out with that is going to teach you all of this, and I'm going to give it to you absolutely free. Go to noellsfreebook.com to get a free copy right now of my book. If it's not out yet, we are taking pre-orders and we will ship as soon as the book is available. The book will be coming out in the next 30 days. So go to noellsfreebook.com. Again, that's Noelle, Noelles, free, Free, book, BOOK.com. I want to make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle, to your success.